What's up, everybody? Welcome to the new and improved Vanpreneur channel. Myself being the ultimate Vanpreneur. No, I'm just kidding. But this is a new channel, and I did, for those of you who were subscribed before, this was a video game channel before. We just showed video games and whatnot. And now I've gone off and ventured and started my own business, and it's a cargo van business. And I know some of you who watch YouTube have probably came across it. People running their own cargo van business, but today we're going to start talking about it and relaying some ideas back and forth. And today I'm going to do a review of one of the gig apps called Rodie, because I wasn't too entirely sure how to start. 1 second. Because I was transitioning the channel from a video game channel, and now it's going to be for my business, and I had to change a few things. The video is a day late, so I'm sorry about that, everybody. But everything's good, so that's a plus. Yeah, so this channel is mainly going to be about the gig life and our cargo vans. We'll be able to pass along, valuable information with each other. To start, I'll give a couple of quick tips. So, number one, you don't want to rush. There's no reason to rush. There's no reason to even be 15 minutes early to some of these pickups, or a majority of them. In my experience, you're a lot better off showing up right at the pickup time. If it's a 3:30 pickup time, show up at 3:30, okay? Fill in your time the most appropriate way that you can, but it's going to do you no good showing up 15 minutes or earlier, that's for sure. And I would say, and with my experience, I would just show up at the pickup time and don't worry about being early and trying to save time and get things done faster, because it's not going to work that way. So that's the number one tip, is don't rush. The next one would be to know the dimensions of your vehicle. You need to know the dimensions of your vehicle, how matter how big it is or small it is, because trying to guess, you're going to run into a pickle. And I've talked to multiple employees that work at some of these places we pick up from through Rodie, like Walmart and Tractor Supply, and they do get very upset when a customer, or when the driver, the delivery driver, has a smaller vehicle than what is supposed to be for the order. And there's also been numerous times, 1 second. There's been numerous times now that I know that some of the bigger orders have came out, somebody quickly clicks on it, whatever, and then they do their little research, realize one way or the other they can't do it, and then they release it and whatnot. But when that happens, it's like, it just doesn't benefit anybody. You need to know your dimensions before you're bidding on orders, right? So that's another tip. And another one is your weight capacity. So for instance, I can hold 2,500 pounds. That's my gross weight. I can hold 2,500 pounds, and there was an order where the dimensions were perfect for my van, but it was like 3,700 pounds. And at first I submitted the offer, but when I looked at the weight, I realized, oh my God, no. And I canceled the offer. Now the van probably could have done it, right? But it's not worth the risk. Another really good thing about Rodie actually is they were the first to approve me for driving. The first day I started doing all of this, I downloaded anywhere from 10 to 15 different apps. Some of them were just load boards and whatnot, but majority were just gig apps. And I know Rodie was not the first one, so it was probably like right in the middle somewhere. And they were the first one to approve for driving, and which is a great thing, because if it wasn't for Rodie, then my first like 3 or 4 days, I would have made no money. So there's that to think about for sure. So one thing I wanted to point out to people is that as the job or as the gig sits, it'll increase in price. Now, some of these, it's going 14 miles and it's for like $8 or something. Now, you can take it all you want, but at that rate, you're not really making money. It's meant to either you're already on your way, or you can stack an order with it. The easiest way for me to stack orders is when I get orders through a different gig apps like SendPex or Dispatch, and then I get a Rodie, and then I get a DoorDash. One guy I would like to give a shout out to is the Gig Geezer. And I'm giving him a shout out because he's doing phenomenally well in the gig economy. And he's recently made over $3,000 in 1 week, which is quite a feat, in my opinion, at least in the gig economy. And he has a lot of good information about the gig economy. He's somebody good to listen to, and he says some pretty insightful things about when it comes to the gig market. So now I want to get into a couple of the bad experiences that I had, and not just because I want to say something bad about Rodie. I want it so that way we can all learn from it, and hopefully Rodie comes across this and they see what they did wrong. So to start out, there was a moment where I accepted a job at about 7 o'clock at night, so 7 p.m., and it was for like a 7:30 a.m. pickup. So, cool. I got it. I submit the offer, it accepts, and so to make sure, I contact Rodie support and I say, hey, I just want to make sure this is a 7 a.m. pickup, and at first they're a little confused on why I'm asking, but I haven't seen any orders that prolonged about 10 to 12 hours worth of time before the pickup. So I contact them, they confirm, yes, it's a 7:30 a.m. pickup. So, I go overnight, and then in the morning I get up at about 5 a.m., get ready and everything, head to the destination. It's a solid 45 minutes away, and I get there, and as I get there, this guy is having trouble. His job just disappeared, and he doesn't know what's going on, so he's kind of frantically trying to figure things out. He moves his van so I can start getting loaded, and when that happens, for about 2 minutes, my phone was sitting on the table, so I wasn't even holding my phone. It's sitting right in front of me on the table, and I look down, and all of a sudden, it's just showing me the Rodie map, where they'll show you the available gigs, and I see nothing about the gig that I'm currently doing. So I'm like, that's weird. I try finding it and everything. It's just not there. It just disappeared. So I tell the guy working the store there, I say that the same thing just happened to me. I'm going to try and get it accepted, whatever. But First thing, it is ironic that it was happening to somebody when I showed up, because it hasn't happened to me anywhere else. And that same Rodie driver that it was happening to when I showed up said that it only happens at that place. I'm not going to name the place because I don't know why the reasoning is that this happened. So I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. And then another Rodie driver shows up as we're both there, and he's getting his order around. So eventually, I didn't get accepted for the order that I was already there for. And so I contact Rodie support. They eventually just end up, they're telling me that either it was canceled from the store's end or it was canceled from my end, the driver end. And so this is all first over text, and so I say, I held a job for 12 hours, drove 45 minutes, woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're telling me that I canceled the job. So I know that's BS because I didn't. And I wouldn't just drive somewhere or accept a job and hold it for 12 hours to get like $4, right? So I get to, or I'm talking to Rodie support, and eventually, because I say I need to speak to a manager, they end up giving me a phone number to call. I do talk to somebody. They say, yeah, we'll escalate it. Now in my mind, I'm thinking they're only escalating it to appease my mind, right? To appease my own feelings. It's going to go nowhere. And sure enough, it never went anywhere, and it's been about a month now. And so the only thing I can assume is that stores are allowed to unassign drivers. I haven't done any research into this, so don't take my word on it. But I think it's really weird because when I think back to it, the employee was walking back and forth from his terminal, his computer or his station that he works from. And I think it's odd that it happens to the guy that was there. It's happened to him a few times. That's the only time it's happened to me. And it was after I showed up and started the gig and everything. And so I can only assume that this guy somehow has access to unassigned drivers, and he must have a friend that he's doing it for, right? Otherwise, why would you do it? Somebody's got to make money from it. And so I've never done another order from there, and they've had some pretty decent orders go out and some orders that sat there for a while, like a few hours, if not longer. And simply put, it's not worth the risk anymore. Now that's apparently the only place that, you just show up and your job just disappears and there's nothing that Rodie's going to do about it. I guess I'm not going to do work for them, So, 1 second. So, that was one bad experience, and it was actually a bad experience because I also had another job lined up for that day. It was through a different app. I'm going to do a review on that app later. I'm going to keep this one strictly about Rodie so we can stay on topic, but I had another cancellation that day as well, and I ended up being out of pocket, like as far as wages or my own compensation and fuel or expenses for the business. It was over like $100 something for the day, and luckily I was able to find a gig on the way back for $120 something, and I just called it good because I still had to contact Rodie support and the other app support as well after that. It was a pretty good cigar. Show you guys the name of it real quick. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. Next time I'll get one I can pronounce better. And there's been a couple of times where I showed up at Walmart and for some reason it didn't resonate that I was there. But I was able to cancel it and I get the kickback. So from this first this first gig that I just told you about, where it just disappeared, I told Rodie, I'm like, I'm just asking for the little kickback. You know, I'm not asking for you to reimburse me for anything other than, you know, like hold your end of the bargain up. And so it just never went anywhere. I really hope that they've got it settled by now. I don't know if this has happened to anybody else, or maybe if you know what happened, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your guys' reasonings or reasonings why this could happen, because it was just out of left field, you know, came out of nowhere. But my overall experience with Rodie, I'm going to, well, it gets 2 thumbs up, okay? 2 thumbs up and 4.1 stars. I'm going to give it a 0.1 for the benefit of the doubt, okay? They're not going to get a full 5 stars because I was stiffed by them. I don't know, there was no explanation for it, okay? That's why. If there was some sort of reasonable explanation, 5 stars all day long. But the fact that the job just completely disappeared and the store can't do nothing about it, Rodie can't do nothing about it, and I'm literally like so much time and energy already into one gig, you know, holding it for 12 hours, traveling 45 minutes, waking up at the break of dawn to do it. And there's just no explanation as to where it went, right? So that's why they're getting 4 stars from me, 4.1. And the other thing was their customer service could be a little bit better. So I did have a moment one time where I accepted a job. It was 19 miles for $19. I go pick it up. It was right down the road from me. And I type in the address and it says 32 miles. That's weird. So I was like, I thought for sure it said 19 miles for $19. So I contact Rodie support. They assured me I will be reimbursed for the extra mileage. So awesome. I finished the gig. I screenshotted the conversation so it didn't go away. And then I contacted Rodie support when I finished it. And the thing is, they gave me a runaround at first. I was like, I sent him the screenshot and then he messaged back, so how can I help? And I said, so I was just speaking to Rodie support. I finished the gig now. It was offered as $19 for 19 miles, but it's actually 32 miles. And so he asked for the address, and I give him the address, and he says, yes, that's the address for the gig, or for the order. And I said, I know, but the order was for 19 miles, and this is 32 miles. It took him about another 5 minutes, but then he contacted me and said, your account will reflect the updated amount for the mileage that I did. And that's what happened, but I could tell they were giving me a runaround, and I didn't like that. To me, that's almost theft, right? I accepted a job that was 19 miles, and then I go to do the job, and it's actually 32 miles. You know, we as gig drivers need to be aware of things like that, and we need to pay attention to things so that doesn't happen. Because then if you just end up doing it and you're like, yeah, whatever, I thought that, but I'm not sure, you know, you're out of pocket. You're not being compensated for the extra time involved. and it's actually illegal to do that, you know. So Rodie also needs to make sure that people are being compensated appropriately for the job or the gig at task at hand. Sorry. And last but not least, nobody's perfect, so you're not gonna get 5 stars anyways. I do want to wrap it up here though. Overall, I do 100% recommend Rodie. You know, in about 3 months' time, it helped me bring in an extra $3,500 in income into my business. So I do want to thank everybody again for watching and tuning in. It is truly a pleasure to just be able to talk about this stuff with you guys, right? Yeah, I do have some of this written down. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. And I wanted to make sure I got certain points across because I know there's some people out there who want to do Rodie or start doing the gig market. So, and they're trying to look into it. So this is just another video for the viewers. So that way you can make a better informed decision about either a particular gig or just the market in general. I do appreciate it, everybody. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later. Peace.